doubt as to the appropriateness of this arrangement. B is the Hercules stag, a wild bull, which begins the year. The 7 fights, or 7 tines of his antlers, are months in prospect and in retrospect, for Beth is the 7th month after Dur, the oak month, and the 7th month from Beth is Dur again. The Biobolos of the Hercules charm contained in the Biobaloth was an antelope bull. The Orphic ox of 7 fights is hinted at in Plutarch's Isis and Osiris, where he describes how at the winter solstice they carry the golden cow of Isis enveloped in black cloth 7 times around the shrines of Osiris, whom he identifies with Dionysius. The circuit is called the Seeking for Osiris. For in winter the goddess longs for the water of the sun, and she goes around 7 times because he completes his passing from the winter to the summer solstice in the 7th month. Plutarch must be reckoning in months of 28 days, not 30, else the passage would be completed in the 6th of them. L is February, Fildike, season of floods. N is centered in early March, which comes in like a lion, with winds that dry the floods. F is explained by the sentiment of the well-known medieval carol, "He came also still where his mother was, like dew in April that falleth on grass." For this is the true beginning of the sacred year, when the deer and wild cow drop their young, and when the child Hercules is born, who was begotten at the midsummer orgies. Hitherto he has been sailing in his coracle over the floods, now he lies glistening on the grass. S is the month when birds nest. In Guion's Can Ye Merk Song of the Horses, a partial series of I have beens occurs as an interpolation. One of them is I have been a crane on a wall, a wondrous sight. The crane was sacred to Delian Apollo, and before Apollo to the sun hero Theseus, or Thesis. It also appears in triad in a Gaulish bas relief at Paris and in another at Thebes in association with the god Isus and bull, crane, hawk, or vulture. That is an important question because the provinces of the poem depend on the answer. The hawk, if not the royal hawk of Egyptian Horus, will have been the kite sacred to Boreas, the north wind. In Greek legend, his Thracian sons Callias and Zetus wore kite feathers in his honor and had the power of transforming themselves into kites. These two birds are mythologically linked in the Egyptian hieroglyph for the north wind, which is a hawk. In Welsh, the word is barkut, or barkut. And in Iranian, the words barkut, which supports Pliny's suggestion, Natural History 30:13, of a strong connection between the Persian and British sun cults. Another mark of close similarity is that Mithras, the Persian sun god whose birthday was celebrated at the winter solstice, was worshipped as a bull of 7 fights, his initiates having to go through 7 grades before they were sealed on the brow as tried soldiers of Mithras. Mithraism was a favorite cult of the Roman legionaries in imperial times, but they never reached Ireland, and the Song of Emergence is evidently far older than the Claudian invasion of Britain. The vulture will have been the griffin vulture sacred to Osiris, a bird also of great importance to the Etruscan augurs and with a wider wingspan than the golden eagle. In the Song of Moses, Deuteronomy 32:22, Jehovah is identified with this bird, which is a proof that the uncleanliness in the Levitical list means sanctity, not foulness. The heraldic griffin is a lion with griffin vulture wings and claws and represents the sun god as king of the earth and air. The ordinary Welsh word for hawk is gwlch, akin to the Latin falco, falcon, and the court bards always likened their royal patrons to it. The mystical names Walchime, hawk of May, Walkived, hawk of summer, better known as Sir Galahad, the Welsh Gwain, White Hawk, better known as Sir Gawain, are best understood in terms of this calendar formula. H, which starts in the second half of May, is the season of flowers, and the hawthorn or May tree rules it. Olwen, the daughter of giant hawthorn, has already been mentioned. Her hair was yellow as the broom, her fingers pale as wood anemones, her cheeks the color of roses, and from her footprints white trefoil sprang up. Trefoil to show that she was the summer aspect of the old triple goddess. This peculiarity gave her the name of Olwen, she of the white track. Trefoil, by the way, was celebrated by the Welsh bards with praise out of all proportion to its beauty. Homer called it the lotus and mentioned it as a rich fodder for horses. D is ruled by the midsummer oak. The meaning is, I think that the painful smoke of green oak gives inspiration to those who dance between the twin sacrificial fires lighted on Midsummer Eve. Compare the song of the forest trees. Fiercest heat giver of all timber is green oak. From him none may escape unhurt. By love of him the head is set and aching. By his acrid embers the eye is made sore. T is the spear month, the month of the Tanist. The bardic letter T was shaped like a barbed spear. C is the nut month. The salmon was and still is the king of the river fish, and the difficulty of capturing him once he is lodged in a pool makes him a useful emblem of philosophical retirement. Thus, Loki, the Norse god of cunning, disguised himself from his fellow gods as a salmon and was drawn from his pool only with a special net of his own design. The connection of salmon with nuts and with wisdom has already been explained. M is the initial of Minerva, Latin goddess of wisdom and inventor of numbers. Of Mnemosyne, the mother of the Greek muses, and of the muses themselves, and of the Moirae, or Fates, who are credited by some mythographers with the first invention of the alphabet. The vine, the prime tree of Dionysius, is everywhere associated with poetic inspiration. Wine is the poet's proper drink, as Ben Jonson knew well when he asked for his fee as poet laureate to be paid in sack. The base collie Kibber asked for a cash payment in lieu of wine, and no poet laureate since has been poet enough to demand a return to the old system of payment. All right, let's go. G, the ivy month, is also the month of the boar. Set, the Egyptian sun god disguised as a boar, kills Osiris of the ivy, the lover of the goddess Isis. Apollo, the Greek sun god disguised as a boar, kills Adonis or Tammuz, the Syrian, the lover of the goddess Aphrodite. Finn MacCool, disguised as a boar, kills Dermod, the lover of the Irish goddess Grainy, or Green. An unknown god disguised as a boar kills Anacus, the Arcadian king, a devotee of Artemis, in his vineyard at Tega, and according to the Nestorian Gannet Basami, Garden of Delights, Cretan Zeus was similarly killed. October was the boar hunting season, as it was also the revelry season of the ivy-wreathed Basarides. The boar is the beast of death, and the fall of the year begins in the month of the boar. All right, let's do NG. NG is the month when the terrible roar of breakers and the snarling noise of pebbles on the Atlantic seaboard fill the heart with terror, and when the wind whistles dismally through the red beds of the rivers. In Ireland, the roaring of the sea was held to be prophetic of a king's death. The warning also came with the harsh cry of the screech owl. Owls are most vocal on moonlight nights in November and then remain silent until February. It is this habit with their silent flight, that carrion smell of their nests, their diet of mice, and the shining of their eyes in the dark, which makes owls messengers of the death goddess Hecate or Athene or Persephone, from whom, as the supreme source of prophecy, they derive their reputation for wisdom. I think I'm going to stop there today. All right.